All right, the recorder is on. Okay, you guys are welcome to NextCollege once more. This is a platform where we turn you from nothing to a full stack code developer just within 1 year. Okay, and in today's class, we are just going to learn about HTML, some aspect of HTML. But you can't talk about HTML without us even understanding what front end is all about. Okay, what is front end? As in, how can I explain what is front end? And why do I even need to learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Okay, so that is another thing you have to ask yourself. Now, when you come to web application, in the last webinar we had, when I was able to explain the generation of the web, okay, so you can watch our YouTube channel concerning that, the last video in our YouTube channel, you can watch that concerning the generation of the web. When you talk about web application, what is going to come to your mind is you can just go to a particular browser, then search maybe NextCollege.dev. Automatically start seeing beautiful interface, some button that you can click and thereabouts. And this is basically what you call front end. That is what you call front end. Those things you can actually see with your eye. Then the back end are those things you can't see with your eye, but they are still there. They are working perfectly fine. And they are helping to shift information to the front end. And we are going to start with the front end. How we can be able to do what? How we can be able to create this. Now, our Chrome is serving as what? The browser that is helping us to connect to external system. Let's keep it that way. External what? System or external computer. When you use your Chrome to search www.nextcollege.dev, the next thing you click on send, the next thing that the site will start loading. That particular time is requesting for some information from what? From another server somewhere. And what is requesting for is HTML. It's a HTML page that is requesting for that particular time. So once the HTML page is sent from that particular server or that particular machine somewhere, then it's going to display in your laptop or in your phone. And automatically you can now see, there is button, this site is very, very beautiful. Okay, that is what is happening under the hood. What is requesting that particular time is just the HTML page. That is why we are here, to learn how we can be able to do what? To create that kind of page. And once you're able to learn how to create that kind of page, you can also learn CSS to be able to make it beautiful. Okay? Even this meeting we are having now is still HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This Google Meet is beautiful, but it's still what's basically HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Nothing else. Nothing else at this particular stage. Nothing else. So the reason why we are here is for you to learn how you can also be able to create something this beautiful or even much more beautiful than this. Now, when you talk about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, HTML is the structure, okay, is the structure of the web. Using the analogy of building as an example, if you are building a house, the first thing is for you to start laying a foundation. After foundation, you start putting block and thereabout. Okay, the house is not beautiful. Nobody can live in that house yet. Then over the time, you start plastering the house. Even still, as you're plastering, there is now more beauty in the house, but still yet, no one can live there. From plastering, you start painting. Okay, you start painting the house. Those times you are painting the house, you are actually putting styles in the house. So you have moved from just structure, because initially, when you are just using block, it just structure, just had a structure there. All right. Then from using that block, you start plastering, then painting. At that particular time you are painting, you are making it look beautiful. And that is CSS in play at that particular time. Then from CSS, how did JavaScript now come into what you are learning? We have some smart house, okay? Somehow you can just click on a particular button, gate will open, all right? Or you click on a particular button, there will be an alarm, okay? Emergency alarm or thereabouts. So there is interaction in the house. The house is now smart, and that is where JavaScript now comes into play. JavaScript add interactivity in what? In web application. So now initially we have just HTML, and HTML is not beautiful. You are still going to see all those things. It's not beautiful, it's just normal thing. You cannot see text, you can see some other things, but it's not beautiful. Then over the time, when you now learn about CSS by next week, you start understanding, this actually is beautiful now. Can I be able to add color, make some things look fine? Then from there, we now talk about JavaScript. We now start adding some interaction. You can click on a button and something will happen. All right. Just the same way you can log out from this meeting now by clicking on this red button, and something will happen. You will be logged out. You can still log in again. All those things are JavaScript in play. Okay. So we are going to learn all those things sequentially. And that is why I'm starting from what? From the basis, which is what? HTML. Now, being able to understand this, you not picture it totally fine now, but when we move into code, you get to understand everything the way it's meant to be. Okay? And you can always ask your question as I'm even teaching. So you can just raise your hand, then I can ask your question. It's going to be an interactive word section. Don't hold your question. Always do what? Always ask your question. You're here to learn. Okay? So you must always ask your question. So is there any question concerning what I explained now about browser making a request to a server somewhere, getting the HTML page, which is what you want to learn, how we can be able to create this particular HTML file? Is there any question concerning that? All right, okay. I think that is clear. Now, how do we start working with this HTML file? Are we going to use our Microsoft Word to do that? Or are we going to use PowerPoint to do that? No, we can't use Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. We have something that is going to help us to do what? To create HTML. You write JavaScript or CSS. And this is what you call what? Code editors. Now, when you want to type documents, make use of Microsoft Word. When you want to make a presentation, make use of PowerPoint. If you want to calculate things, make use of Excel. So you can see all these applications have their specific domain, things they are doing. Now, when you come to writing code, there is what you call IDE. Okay, so this is a text editor for writing what? Writing code. Use it to write code. Don't use Microsoft Word to write code. It's not going to work. Okay, so we use those specialized applications to write code. And now, the only requirement you have is just for you to have a laptop. Once you have a laptop, no matter the level of laptop, writing code is not taking much space. All right, it's not like trying to do video editing or graphic design that's going to require some type of specification. This is very, very light. Once you can use Chrome, you can be able to do anything you want to do concerning this HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, now what we are going to do first is how can we get this app in our laptop so it can help us write our code? How can we do that? Okay, the app we are going to use is called VS Code. We have different app that you can use to write your code. We have VS Code, we have brackets, we have cursor, right? We have Notepad and thereabout. But the most popular is called VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Okay, we are going to learn how we can download it. Then from downloading it, we now move on to other things. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen. Now, share my screen. Okay, that's fine. I'm sharing my screen now. How do we download Visual Studio Code? Very simple. It's not stressful. Okay, I can just come to this new tab and just type VS Code. So you can it will even pop up for you. VS Code download. Then I can now click on send. Now you can see this first link. That is what I'm going to click. Visual Studio Code for Mac, Linux, and Windows. Okay, I can now click on this. Good and fine. Now, most of us make use of Windows. Most of us in Nigeria make use of Windows. Some make use of Mac OS. Okay, while few make use of Linux. Okay, and you can be able to download this for different operating system. Now, if you make use of Windows, that means you are making use of HP, Dell, Lenovo, all those things make use of Windows. Okay, maybe you are waiting for me to mention HP and there, about all of them make use of Windows. HP, Dell, Lenovo make use of what? Windows operating system. MacBook, only MacBook, all right, make use of all this. Only Apple laptop make use of Mac, make use of that particular operating system. Okay, Mac OS. Then there are some other systems that I may not even have heard their name, but those ones are used mostly for hackers. Okay, they make use of Linux operating system. Now, I believe that most of us here are making use of Mac OS or Windows. Majority of us are making use of what? Windows. Okay, and even me, I'm making use of Windows also. So the only thing you have to do is just come here and click on what? Download for Windows. Just click on that. So once you click on that, it's going to start downloading. So it's downloading now. All right, it's downloading now. And it's going to take about 119 MB. Okay, because I already have it in my laptop now, I'm not going to download it again. But what you just have to do, you just allow it to download. Once it's done downloading, you just do what? You double click on it. Once you double click on it, there is what we call installation wizard that's just going to pop up. What you just need to do is just keep on clicking next. Then you now click on finish. Then you just allow it to install. So it's not something that is stressful, it's just straightforward. Okay. Then if you're making use of Mac, the same thing happens. Just click on what? Click on download. Then it will start downloading. Then if at a time it's not downloading, okay, you can also come here and click on download here. Okay, it's still going to do the same thing for you. Okay, Frank, you have a question?
Yeah, my question is like the thing is not showing in my own screen. I don't know. The presentation.
You can't see it on your screen. Can others see it?
I'm only seeing NextCollege below the picture.
Okay, please, can others confirm? Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, Frank, I think you should just log out and log back in again. Maybe it's from your side, network.
Okay.
All right. Okay, now that's good. Okay, any other question concerning what I explained now on how to download VS Code? Okay, that's fine. So once you are done downloading VS Code, okay, so that means you have done the first part. You have done the first part. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this. Once I've done downloading VS Code, you're going to see this icon in your laptop, this icon here. Or even if you don't see it here, just come here and search for VS Code. Okay, you're going to see this icon here. So once you see it, that means congratulations, we are done downloading your VS Code. Then the next thing we have to do is for us to do what? To move in and start learning HTML. Start making use of this VS Code to do what? To learn HTML. Okay, I'm going to just click outside. How do we learn HTML? Things are based on what? Folders. Do the same thing when you want to create a file for your movies, okay? Or you create a file for another thing. You are also going to do the same thing here. That means you are going to create a file which is going to be for our work environment. Okay, and any project you are creating, okay, most of the time you have to create a file for it. So that file is just going to organize things for you. So when you come back tomorrow, you can just continue from where you stopped. Okay, so what you are going to do first, I'm just going to do what? Create a file. Just right click on your desktop, create a new folder. Then you can name it anything. So I'm going to name this NextCollege 2026. All right. And I'm just going to keep it here. I have to now open this my folder using my VS Code. Because you can remember, I can't make use of Microsoft Word to write my code or make use of PowerPoint. So what I have to use, I have to make use of what this VS Code to write my code. What I'm going to do is just for me to drag this file, then drop it on top of what this VS Code. So once I drop it, automatically it's going to open for me in that VS Code. So now my VS Code is open. All right. And now see, this is the interface of my VS Code. Once you open your own, you are going to see the same thing, something just similar this way. Very different, it's just a few things here. Okay. So this extra 2 button is not going to be your own, but everything is going to be in your own. I'm going to explain this interface before we move to writing our code. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is just to do what to close this. Now this is our VS Code where we'll be writing our code. Is there any question? I think someone's using that. Okay, no question. Now, once you drag that your folder and drop on the VS Code. Okay, Frank.
I cannot still see the screen.
Wow, I think this is from your end actually, because every other person can see the screen. It's from your end. Are you using laptop to join or your phone?
I'm using phone.
Maybe if your laptop is closed, just try and use laptop and join.
Let me try.
All right, okay, that's fine. Okay, can you just mute yourself? Okay, that's good. Okay, the next thing you have to talk about now is this interface. Let's talk about them. Okay, even though we keep on talking about some aspects as we keep on learning. The first thing we are going to see here is you are seeing the name of that file, that folder we created, which we called NextCollege. So you can see it here. Okay, so that is NextCollege 2026. So this shows that okay, what we actually opened now is NextCollege, the folder we created. So this tells you that okay, you are working on this particular folder at this particular time. The same name is also going to appear here. So once you see them, you now know, oh, I'm not working on a wrong folder. We are working on the right folder at that particular time. All right. Then the next thing is how can we create a file that is going to bear HTML? You can remember the initial time I was explaining what happens when you request for a web page. When you open your Chrome and you type nextcollege.dev, the next thing there is going to be a request sent to a computer somewhere. And that computer is just going to return a HTML what? A HTML page. And that HTML page is what is being rendered, and you are now seeing fine web page. Okay? We need to know how we can be able to create that kind of HTML. What is required for us to do that? You need to create a file for that. How do we create a file in this VS Code? Okay? I'm just going to come to this right side, to this left side. I'm going to zoom this so I can see it very well. So once I hover over this, you can see new file, you can see new folder, then you can see refresh and thereabout. So what you are going to do, you are going to do what? You are going to click on this new file. I click on it, automatically I'm seeing an input where I can add the name of the file. because I want to create a new file. That is my objective or my aim. So once I see this particular input where I can enter the name of the file I want to create, good and fine, I can just name it index. You can name it anything you want, but our convention here is for you to name it index.html. The reason why we are making use of .html is because this file is HTML type of file. You can remember, if I send you a PDF file, okay, you are going to see .pdf. If I send you a doc file from say Google Doc or from Microsoft Doc and thereabout, you are going to see what .doc. So that means this is talking about doc. If I send you an image, you are going to see .jpeg or .img. Okay, so that is a file, but it's an image file. So you get to understand all these things as you keep on learning. Why we have all those kind of extensions. Those things is what we call what extensions on a particular word, on a particular file. Now, image is also a file. There is what .png or .jpeg or .img. Okay, PDF is also a file, which is also called .pdf. If it's PowerPoint, you see .pptx. Okay, which shows that this is actually what a PowerPoint. Then for HTML, then how do we now show that this is a HTML? Okay, so it's meant to be a .html. Very simple. So when you create this index.html, you click outside. So once you click outside, automatically you can now see that we have a cursor blinking here, which means, oh, you can now start writing your code. And you can even see it here, generate what? Code. Okay, so you can start writing your code. And also, you can also see a tag for what? For HTML. So this is a sign for HTML. Bear in mind, you must actually add .html before you can start writing HTML file or any code concerning HTML. So you can start writing it here. If not, it's not going to work. So you can make use of main.html, anyone you want, but it must end with HTML. So I can see come and say, oh, I want to create another file, which I'm going to call main.html. So I can just type main.html. So you can see they are the same thing, they look alike. Okay, because they have the same file extension. This from .html I see here is what we call the file extension. Okay, it's called the file extension. When we start learning about JavaScript, for JavaScript we call it .js, right? .js. So if I come here and say, oh, I want to create for JavaScript, I can just say index.js. So you can see now there are two different things. This one has JS here, while this one has a sign of like a close and open bracket here. So that means this is talking about what? Different extension. But today we are focusing on what? HTML. How you can make use of HTML, how you can create HTML page. Okay, so I'm just going to do what? Delete for this index.js and main.html. How can I delete that? Very simple. Just hover over the file you want to delete. Then right click on that file. So once you right click on that file, you now move to what? Delete. Click on delete. It will be deleted for you. All right. The same thing happens to this main. I can also right click this main, click on delete, and it will be deleted. If you want to rename, you can also rename your file. Okay. So this HTML is basically an extension that tells our computer that this actually is HTML file and not image file or PDF file or doc file. This is basically what? An HTML file. Okay, any questions so far concerning this? All right, that's good. The next thing you have to do is for us to do what? Is for us to start writing our code here. Now, when it comes to HTML, there is what we call HTML elements. Okay, some people also call it what? Tags. Is used interchangeably. But there is a way you use to write HTML. You don't just come here and start writing something. There is a structure. So this structure is good for you to understand it. Good for you to do what? Understand. Once you understand it, it's going to be easier for everyone. And I'm going to explain this over and over again, just to make sure that it sticks. All right. The first thing we are going to do, we are going to create HTML element or HTML word tag. Because this actually is a convention that you must follow. Even though it's not much for you to cram it, I'm still going to show us in shortcuts for us to do all these things. But for the initial time, that's what we call muscle memory. When you practice something continuously for a while, you can be able to do it without thinking much about it. So I want you guys to build muscle memory as you are learning or as you are in this particular course. Okay, it's going to be very, very important for us. Okay, we want to build muscle memory first. Okay, so what are the protocol or the rules we have to follow? Because all these things has a rule. When you learn JavaScript, there is a rule you must follow for you to learn JavaScript. Okay, when you want to write ABCD, you must go and learn. If you want to write a novel, you must learn ABCD before you can move to a level of writing what a novel. And it goes on that way. The same thing happens to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There are some things that you are meant to understand. You are meant to know before you move on to another level. Okay? And the first thing is for us to make use of what? Those tags. Let's learn about HTML tags or HTML what? Elements. Very, very important. And the first HTML element we are going to learn ever is what we call HTML what? Tag. Okay? And there are what we call opening and closing what? Tag. I'm going to explain everything sequentially. Now I'm going to create HTML what? Tag. And for me to create it, I don't just come here and type HTML. Okay? So this thing is not a tag. Right? It's not a tag. How do I make it a tag? A tag is going to be you open what this particular, how do I call it, angle or less than sign. This is called a less than sign in your laptop. Okay, you just press the shift and your comma. Okay, so you get that particular symbol. So once you insert the symbol, you now type HTML. So you can see the color is now changing. Let me zoom this a little bit more. Okay, so you can see the color is now changing. So the color is now blue. Your own may be another color. There is no problem. Okay, so once you type this HTML, then you now close the tag. So once you close the tag, automatically, don't mind this that just showed up here. Okay, so once you close the tag, automatically the closing tag is also going to show for you. So don't be afraid when you see it. Okay, so it's going to show this way. Okay, so this and this are the same thing. The only difference between two of them is that this is opening tag, while this is what is closing what? Closing tag, basically. And why do we have opening tag and closing tag? This opening tag and closing tag. Can you assist my screen, please? I think Eda is complaining.
Yes, we can see it.
Right, so I think maybe it's network issue. I will definitely upload this. I think network is just bad today. All right, okay. Now we have our opening tag, which is, okay, that's good. So we have our opening tag, which is what? HTML. Okay. Then this is our closing tag. Now you can ask yourself, what is different between this opening tag and closing tag? What is different between two of them? If you look very, very well, let me zoom this again. If you look very, very well, you're going to see a forward slash here. Okay, a forward slash here. This means that, oh, you want to create a closing tag. Right, so I can even remove this and create it by myself. Okay, so I can just pass HTML. Okay, so I can just call this so that it can remove it. Okay, so this is the opening tag. For me to create the closing tag, I can just pass this my sign, then slash, automatically is just going to fill it for me. Okay, because VS Code is also very, very smart. It knows what you want to actually do. So it's not going to allow you to stress yourself. Right? But the main thing you have to know is that this actually is an opening tag. And this is what the closing tag. The closing tag, you know it by this forward slash you are seeing here. Then every other thing inside here is going to be what? Our content. So from here to here is going to be what we call HTML elements. So HTML elements consist of the opening tag, the closing tag, and some things inside it. So we have an opening tag, closing tag, then some content inside it, which is totally what we call HTML elements. Now, this HTML, because now I want to write HTML code or tags inside this HTML, everything is actually going to be inside this HTML. Everything you are writing is going to be inside this HTML. So none of them is going to come outside. So the first thing you have to do is for you to create this HTML tag, opening tag, then closing tag. Then once you now come inside, you start learning about other tag. The first, another tag you're going to learn now is what we call head. Okay? And another one is also what we call body. I'm going to explain all this, especially when we preview this in our browser, you get to understand what we are doing more. Okay? So in this HTML, I'm going to create another tag called head. Okay? So I'm going to create another tag which I call head. Good. This is our head. So you can see same convention. This is the opening tag, and this is the closing tag. So this is telling HTML that see where this head actually started, and this is where it ended. Okay, so it's understandable that every other thing here is under this our head. Why our head is under HTML itself. So that means from here to here, totally, they are all called HTML elements. The same thing happens here from here to here with the content inside it. It's also going to be called HTML elements. Now let's just go back to this our site. Okay. Okay, this site that actually downloaded VS Code from is created by VS Code using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. What I just learning now. But within the first 3 months in this program, you'll be able to design something like this. It's actually very, very easy for you to do. All right. Now, where is the head and where is the body in this site? You see this thing you are seeing here, this Visual Studio Code, every information you are seeing here, even this icon and thereabouts, this is what the HTML head. So when you're making it on that head, you can't see anything relating to head in the body here. Then everything you are seeing within this page, okay, is what we call the HTML body. Now we are able to create the head, but there's nothing in our own head. You are meant to have a title in our head. Okay, you are meant to have a title. For Visual Studio Code, their title is download Visual Studio Code at this particular time. That is their title. So we are meant to also give a title in our head. How do we do that? Then you are going to learn about another tag called title. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to my VS Code. Then I'm going to insert a title within my head. So I pass title. The same thing happens. So title has opening tag and closing tag. Okay. So in this my title, I'm just going to call it NextCollege NextCollege 2026 set. All right. That means I've created what? A title for this my head. Then the next thing is, how do we now create a body? Okay, because this is our title for this particular time. That's it going to add a lot of things inside it. But for the meantime, that is our title. Next thing is for us to create a body. Bearing in mind on you being able to understand what I've been discussing so far, okay, that this HTML as a tag will contain two things. The first one is the head, and next one is the body. Because when you come to this browser, basically the only thing you can see here is this tab, all right, and this white space that contains all this text here. So this tab is basically what? The head. Why all this white space is basically what? The body. Okay? What I'm going to do now is for me to do what? To create a body in this my HTML. Which what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click outside here, then move my arrow, then click what? Create what? Body. Now you can see what happened. So even VS Code is also going to help you to indent what you are doing. Now you can see how it's going. So this is like the father. Okay, HTML is the father itself. Let me say, or the grandparents. It contains everything. Then this HTML now gave birth to what? To head and also to body. Then this body, this head, now gave birth to what? To title. Now this body, I'm not giving birth to anything yet. And we are going to learn the children, to learn about the children over the time. We are going to focus more on the body at this particular time and less of the head, even though we are still going to learn some other things in the head. Then I can now save this. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's good. So is there any questions so far concerning what I've been learning? All right, that's fine. Then you can ask yourself, how do we now show this thing in the browser? Because you can see for VS Code, you can see their site in the browser already. You can see it in the browser. How do we now show our own in the browser? That's another problem. Okay. What we are going to do, we are going to be able to open it in our browser, making use of different method. But for the meantime, we're just going to make use of the primitive way of doing this. All right, so we keep on going up over the time. I'm going to minimize this, okay, and also minimize this. If you want to minimize, just click on this dash, minimize this. All right. Then I'm going to open this my folder. Even if I open the folder, you can see that this folder and this folder, they're not the same. This one is showing one kind of file inside it. The file is showing inside it means that this actually is the HTML file. This one is like more of JavaScript React file. All right. So I'm just going to click on this, double click on it to open it. So once I double click on it to open it, so you can see that file that we created in VS Code. We named it indexed. All right, so we name it index here. Then the type of the file, just like I explained before, the extension, I'm going to create an extension for that particular file. The type of our file is going to be what? HTML document. So the way different operating system actually works, when you create a file with a particular extension, it's not going to show the extension. It will just show the name of the file. But once you hover over it, you can now see the type. You can see the type here, okay? Chrome HTML document. So your own can be Firefox HTML document. The reason why I'm showing Chrome here is because my default browser is actually Chrome. So if you're making use of Edge, Microsoft Edge, as a default browser, you're going to show Edge HTML document. Now, this Chrome HTML document means that I can actually open this document in my Chrome browser, and it's going to work. And this is showing the size of my file. It's just small, 1 KB. Nothing much there. Okay, so what I just have to do, I'm going to double click on this my file. Then this is the dates last modified. Okay, so I'm just going to do what, double click on this file. So once I double click on this file, you can now see that I'm now open to Chrome browser. Almost the same thing that we have in VS Code. Okay, this is our VS Code where we download our VS Code, and this is now our home site. Looking at it now, let me zoom this a little bit. I can't zoom it out. Okay, looking at it now, you can see NextCollege 2026 here, which is our title that we gave it here. Okay, you can see remember it. So this is our title here. Okay, so we're able to learn about the tag for us to give title in our head. Okay, so going back, this is our title. For the meantime, we don't have fine picture to show that this is from us, just like how we have for VS Code and thereabout. We are still going to learn how you can be able to implement that. Then this is meant to be our body, but there's nothing in our body. Everything is just blank because our body is actually empty. We don't have anything there. Okay, but for VS Code, they have a lot of things in their own body. They are getting to that particular level. What you are going to do first is for us to start learning about different important tags. Then from there, we can start seeing those things in our browser here. Okay. Then coming here, the first tag we are going to learn is what we call the heading heading tag. You must have seen it in different websites. There are some texts that are big. There are some that are small. There are some that are very, very small. All right. And all those things are being controlled by what? By different tags. Even though you can still make use of CSS to control some of them. But for this time, we're just going to make use of what? Tags to control the size of those texts, how they are meant to be. We always start learning from what? From text. Then we now go up to image, go up to video, and other things. Okay, so I'm going to start from text. Now, the first thing I want to learn about is what we call the H tags. So we have from H1 to H6, and all these things are for heading, but for different size. Okay, now I want to add a heading here, so I can just put H1. Okay, they are now closed. I can now say heading what? Heading 1. So if I save this now, then go to my browser, then refresh this. Now you can see we are creating something in the web page already. Things are coming up already. Yes, it's not beautiful. Okay, it's not beautiful yet, and I promised you guys it's not going to be beautiful now. Over the time, when we start adding CSS, JavaScript, things start getting better over the time. Now this is what our H1, and now we're able to prove that all this place is our body, while this place is our head. Okay, and some other things that is not visible yet in this head, they are still our head. All those things are things we are going to add over the time. So all these things is the body. Now we are able to create H1. We're also going to create H2, H3 towards H6. H1 is the biggest of all text. Okay, followed by H2, H3, and thereabouts. Start going down to H6, which in terms of heading is the smallest. Okay, so I now go back to our VS Code. Then what I'm going to do, just for us to be able to learn very fast, is I'm going to actually minimize my VS Code to be at the left, then my browser to be at the right. So anything I'm making, we can easily see it. Okay, so I'm just going to minimize this. right. Okay. All right, that's good. Keep it here. Then this also, we'll minimize it. Okay, keep it here. All right, just for us to learn very fast, it's going to be better for us to do it this way. Okay, now this is where our code is actually existing, and this is where the effect is showing. Then let's talk about H2. So let's now learn about H2, which is what the second heading. So I can now say heading what? Heading 2, and save this. Always remember to save, even though we have auto save. Okay. For the meantime, we are doing most of all these things manually. Even as we are done saving, there is no change here yet. We are going to learn how we can add all those live server. That is going to help us anytime we want to make a change, things just become easier. Okay. So all those things, we are going to learn about them in our next class before we start. Okay. So for the meantime, I'm not doing everything manually. Okay. Just follow me and be learning manually for the meantime. So I can just refresh this. So you can see H2 now. So this H1 is better than H2. All right. You see, move down. You have H3. So I can just say heading what? 3. Save. Then refresh this. So heading 3. So you can see how it's reducing. You can see proceed to other ones. So heading 4. Okay. Okay, H5. Say heading 5. Then the last one, which is going to be H6. So I can just say heading words 6. Then I can save my file. Then refresh this. Good. You can see how it is now. So this is H1. This is H2. This is H3, H4, H5, and what? And H6. H6. So that is all our heading. You can't have another heading here when you talk about what? HTML. It just ranges from what? From H1 to what? To H6. And that is it. So is there any question concerning our body and our H1 or H tags? Any question at all since you have been learning? Any challenge?
Yes, I have a question, sir.
Okay, can go on to speak.
Yeah, so sir, in the beginning of the class, you said something about doc type to indicate that is an HTML document, but you did not use the doc type.
I use this actually. See it here. So this is the document I created. Okay. Let me expand this. So I created a document called index. But for me to show that it's actually going to be HTML type of document, all right, I make use of .html. If I remove this .html, that means no longer HTML document. If I add .js, it's going to be what? JavaScript document. Do you understand this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, okay. Any other question from anyone? All right, okay. Let me take this back. Now, the funny thing is this. As we are learning all these things, can I ask yourself, oh, even though we actually created a file and we are able to open it in our VS Code, from VS Code, you can start seeing things we are doing in the browser. How is all this thing happening? By now, you should be asking yourself those questions. How is all this thing? You should be fascinated. How is all this thing happening? How is the browser being able to get this file continuously and render it? Even the file that we have in our VS Code, when you visit VS Code, so all these things is just like a file that it just opened it, and you can see things inside it, the HTML things inside it, and CSS things inside it, and JavaScript functionality. Okay, and this is where we talk about developers for developers tool. Okay, even though as you are learning HTML and CSS and JavaScript, it's good to also learn about those small things as we keep on going on. Now, when you come here to our site, we are be able to see things that we are coding up here. But what happens under the hood is very interesting. It's very interesting. For us to know what is actually happening is we are going to right click anywhere in this our body. Then just come down to inspect. Good. When you come down to inspect, you can see that everything we are doing in our VS Code is actually appearing here. Okay, so that means Chrome actually is not using our VS Code. It's making use of that our file, HTML file. When we click on our HTML file 2 times and it's opened on our Chrome, we are telling Chrome, oh, take this file and just show us anything that you have to show us concerning our HTML in the browser. And Chrome is designed to understand that. So automatically, once you do that, it's going to do what? To convert all those things you are writing in our VS Code, and it's going to be present here. And all of them are called what? Elements. You can be able to hover over this element, and you can see things changing in our body here. So if I hover over it, you can see them changing. Okay, depending on where I'm pointing actually. Now, there is no style yet. Everything you have here is just some default style. Okay, when we start talking about CSS, you start seeing some beautiful style here. So what basically happens is that we have all those things present here. Even our head, you can see it. If I expand it, you can see NextCollege 2026. So it's from this particular element that Chrome is actually rendering all these things you are seeing here. So Chrome basically, we gave Chrome our file. When we double click on that our index.html file, we gave Chrome our file and told Chrome, okay, use this particular file and supply us with some information from this file. And Chrome, being very smart enough, is designed so that you can be able to turn those HTML files to some things you can easily see with your eye and appreciate. And this happens to all other websites out there. So if I come back to VS Code now, click on VS Code. Now I want to see all the rows in their code. Okay, I can just right click here, go to inspect. Now you can also see their own code here. Even though it's much, it's bigger than our own. At this particular time, you may not understand what is happening here. But all these things are still some tag that we are going to learn. The common thing here, you can see the head tag here also. You can see the body tag, which is also present in our own. So this is showing us that this actually is what consistent. And you can see what this HTML file here also. Same thing also happens to our own. So you can see HTML, you can see head, you can see body. Can you see me?
Sir.
All right, okay, that's good. Is there any question so far? All right, that's fine. Over the time, as we keep on learning, we are still going to come back to our developers tool. This is what we call developers tool. So as you are even writing your code, there are some time your code is going to misbehave, right? It's going to misbehave sometime. Then you have to start debugging or trying to know what is actually wrong. That's what you call debugging. So over the time, you are going to start debugging, checking what is actually wrong with your code. And this is the best place you are going to come and see what is wrong with your code. All right? I'm going to do what? I'm going to do this. I would like to show this to you guys. Okay, then we'll now move back to our VS Code, continue again. Okay, so we have our H tag, from H1 to H6. And all these things are used for typography, that is for text. Okay, then the next one we have is the paragraph, which we call what? The P tag. So I can just pass P. So the paragraph or the P tag is just known with what? We just P. Opening tag and a closing tag. So I can just call this my paragraph. Then I save this. Then come here and refresh. So you can now see my paragraph here. Okay, so you're able to learn HTML tag, the head tag, the title, the body, from H1 to H6 tags, then also the P tag. Very, very important. Okay, and all these ones are used for what? Are used for typing. Basically, they are used for what? Just for you to show that you are typing something or you want to display some text or thereabout. So they are all used for what? For typography. Okay, is there a question so far? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's fine. Okay, then the next thing we talk about now is some other important words, important tags. And most of the time we call these tags formatter. Okay, because now we know about the basic typography tags, which is this H series and P tag. So if you're typing anything, you are basically going to make use of either P, H1 to H6, basically. That is where it's going to fall. But sometimes you want to modify some things in our text. Okay, assuming that this is a large text, and some places you want to make it bold, so that people can say, oh, this is actually a very important point. Okay, let's just assume that I'm typing something here. Okay, I can just say, this is very important. Learn it. Okay, now this important, I want to make it to be bold. So once you come to the platform or to the website, your mind should be attracted to this importance. Don't just read that this is important, learn it. Now, there is no particular part of this, my P tag or my paragraph, that is showing that something is actually important. Right? Then how do I show something that this actually is important? Someone that is reading this should pay attention more in this area. Okay, and this is where the formatter tags come into play. You do not need to know that they are called formatter tags. Just know that that tag is actually what is actually existing. That is just the main thing. Just know that this tag is really existing, and that is just it. Okay. How do we now introduce this formatter tag? These formatter tags, they always modify a text. So that means they are going to be inside a what? A P tag, or what? Inside a H tag. Just the same way our P tag is inside our body. Okay? Or the same way our title is inside our what? Our head. So we're also going to have our formatters to be inside our what? Our P tag. But now, the part I actually want to style is this important. I want to make it to be bold. Okay? So that is where we talk about what? P tag, which is what? The bold tag. So I can just do what? I can just cut out this, Control X. Then I want to wrap it with what? With my P tag. So I can just pass B, close it. Then I can now paste down my importance. Then once I save this, I refresh this our browser. So you can see what's actually happened here. So let me also zoom here. See what's happened here. So we have we have this is very, you can ask that important, learn it. Because you made use of what? A tag called B tag. And this is basically a bold tag. So it's going to make it to be what? To be bold. All right, okay, Mara, do you have any question? Raising your hand. Hello, Mara, can you hear me? If you are speaking, you are muted. Can one just hear me, please? Okay, I think it's from Mana's end. All right, then we continue. So this is what? This is a bold what? A bold tag. So that means once you come to our site, automatically you are going to notice that this actually is for what? Is important. Is important. Now, if you don't want to make use of this bold tag, you can make it what you call strong. So both bold tag and strong, they are doing the same thing. Basically to make what? A particular segment of a text to be unique. And basically it's just to make it what? To be bold. Okay? Even though most of this functionality, you can still make use of CSS to achieve them. But basically for the meantime, you need to know about most of these tags. So when you start learning CSS, or when you start working extensively, even with React and thereabouts, it's going to be easier for everyone. Okay? Now I can decide I want to change this important, which is bold. I want to make it to be a strong word, a strong tag. Okay? Bear in mind, all these things are just formatter words, tags. They are just to format a particular segment of word of a text. Now I'm just going to remove this B. Then I'm going to pass strong. Now for your own, because there is an extension I'm making use of in my VS Code, which I'm still going to teach you guys on how to install those things. If you change something in your own from here, you also meant to also come here and change the other side so that it's going to work. If not, it's going to break. All right. So I changed my own, automatically the right side also was changed. So this is the opening tag, this is the closing tag, this is the content. And totally from here to here makes it what? HTML what? Element. So I can just save this, then refresh my code. Now there's no difference there. Basically, because strong and bold are the same thing, they are doing the same thing. Okay, there is no difference there. So if you want to make a particular segment of the text to have this kind of appearance, so you can make use of a strong, or you can make use of what? A bold. It's going to work. Both times is going to work perfectly fine. Okay. Then when you move from this strong, this bold, then you can move to another one called italics. So in this italics, you must have seen some websites in some area just going to be italic, and it's still going to draw your attention, okay? Because it's pointing out to a particular thing. Then how do we pass italic? And just click here, remove all this, then pass I. So this I means what? Means italic. I can save this, then refresh this. So you can see the text is actually different now. This one is somehow bended. It's bending towards the right, compared to what we have here. So all these ones are standing straight, but this one is actually bending. Okay, so this is what we call italic. It's a font word, a font style that is called what? Italic. So if you want to create an italic, you just pass I, and automatically under the hood, Chrome is going to understand that this guy actually wants to create a text formatter using what? Italic. And it's going to do what? It's going to bend that particular content that we are highlighting there. So our I is going to be what? It's going to be what? In italic. Then when you move from this italic, you can also have what we call mark. Okay, you must have seen something like this in the web. where a particular segment is marked yellow, okay, or under color, right? So if I come here, remove this I and pass mark, save it, then refresh this. Oh, you can now see this segment is now yellow, still pointing that this part is important. So everything you have been doing so far is just showing that this particular importance is different from other part of the text. You should pay attention to it. All right. Now, making on this mark automatically just give us this column and this beautiful word, beautiful design here. Okay. Then you can still move forward to another word, another tag. Don't ask yourself, will I be able to learn all these things? Good and fine, you're going to learn all these things over the time. As you keep on using them, you're going to build muscle memory over them. And that is just the truth. The more you are using it, the more you are building muscle memory about those things. Then I'm going to change this to another word, another formatter, which we call delete or del. Now, this one basically just going to draw a line through that our important, showing that this is actually deleted. You must have seen something like this also in other browsers some time ago. Okay, so if I refresh this now, so you can see there's a line through that important, which means that we are actually doing what? We are actually canceling this important. Okay, maybe there is no item available again. You can just draw a line showing that there is no longer item here. Okay, so make use of them for us to do what? For us to achieve that. Any questions so far? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we can. We are good.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now, the next thing we are going to talk about is another text formatter. All right. Most of the time, you just assume you want to write 10 raised to power 2 or 10 raised to power 10. That is where undercolor now come in. How are you going to do that in making the power P tag? So you must know about what another text formatter that is going to help us to do that. Now let me just assume I just come down here, create a P tag. So now I want to write 10 raised to power 2, but it's just turning to 102. Even if I save this, I refresh this, if I see 102. But for those that are in programming or JavaScript already, if I use this and save, refresh this, the person is going to understand that this is 10 raised to power 2, but not everyone are programmers. And when you are creating a site, you are creating it for both grandmothers in the grade that at least went to minimal school of secondary school or primary school that can operate a phone or laptop. Okay, not everybody are programmers. So when you are creating a site, you also need to consider all those people because they are your end users. Okay, how do we use a text formatter to actually show that this is 10 raised to power 2 that all of us know from secondary school or from primary school? Then what I'm going to do here is just remove this. Remove this our 2 also. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a tag which we call superior. All right, then pass to there. Okay, we call it superscript. Super what script. So I can now save this. Then once I refresh this, so you can now see 10 raised to power 2. So this is what we call superscript. So you must have seen this in other websites. So this is talking about this is actually 10 raised to power 2 that everybody actually knows. So once you went to primary school or secondary school, you should know this. Okay, this is what superscript. And 10 raised to power 2, you guys know it. Okay, so that's 10 times 10, okay, which is 100. All right. Then we can still talk about subscript, because you can still remember in secondary school, okay, we discussed about binary and decimal, okay, which for you to show that this particular text or this particular letter or number, sorry, is actually a binary number, you make use of base 2 under it. So you write something like, let me say, P 11001. Okay, then you put 2 below it so that this is actually a binary what? A binary number. But if you try to do it here, it's not going to work because you don't show 1100112, which for us that are into anything like mathematics, you know that this is actually not a binary number because a binary number is basically 0 and 1. So it can be more than 1, basically. But you want to show that this actually is base 2 and not what base 10 or base 16. How do we do that? Okay, so that is when we talk about what the opposite of superscript, which is what the subscript. Then I'm just going to what remove these 2, then pass a formatter, which is going to be sub. Okay, and I now pass 2, then save. Then come here, I'm just going to refresh. You can see what's happened here. So this is now showing that this is actually what? Base 2 and not what? Base 10 or base 16. By making use of all these formatter, combining them sequentially in different parts of our web page is going to make our web page to actually stand out. Okay, and that is why we are learning all these words, all these tags. When it comes to learning HTML, it's not hard. Even learning as a whole is not hard. You just don't have what? A good mentor. That is basically it. Once you have someone that is going to hold your hands and you'll be able to ask your question over the time, so things just becomes what? Clearer for you. Okay, so all these things we have been pointing out, you are going to learn them. So once we are done with this class, we are going to upload the recorded what? Video in our channel, and the link we present what? We present in the group, the WhatsApp group. So you can watch them tomorrow and practice. But if you can be able to do it this night, there is no problem. It's not going to take you much time because it's taking me time now. I'm trying to do what? I'm trying to explain some concepts over the time. Okay, I also take some questions and make sure that you guys are actually what? Understanding. Okay, so make sure you watch the YouTube what? Video. And also please subscribe. Okay, so that is another way you can also show that you are appreciating what you are learning here. So subscribe once we drop it. And also if you're not following us on our other social media, so like X, where we share some other updates, okay, and things happening in the tech. So you can always follow us in our X account, which you're also going to drop in the WhatsApp group. All right, so that's been it for our formatter. So is there any question concerning our text formatter, our hashtag, our p tag? Any question? Is there anyone raising his hand?
Yes.
Okay, you can go on, please.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Please, my question is concerning assuming that can you have 2 different files that have .html in your VS Code? What did I mean? Like we have NextCollege 2026. Can you that where you are storing your HTML file? Can you have another folder that has maybe a different name and you're still storing your HTML file inside it? Is it possible?
Yes, very good. He has a very nice question, and it's very, very possible. All right. The folder you are creating, let's just take it this way, that now, what is your name, please?
Chisom.
Okay. Chisom, now, Chisom, you are a developer, okay, and you are building websites for people, which you are going to be a developer very soon. All right. You are building websites for people. You are building for NextCollege. You're also building for UNN. You're also building for UNEC. how do you now do all these things? Because now UNN is going to be a different site, UNEP will be a different site, and NextCollege will be a different site. So what you just have to do, once they get to you, oh, see, you wanted to create a website for us. The first that is going to come to your head is that, I have to create a new work environment, all right, for NextCollege. So what you just did now, you created a work environment for NextCollege 2026. Okay, so let me just minimize this. So this is for NextCollege. Okay, if you want to create for UNN, you repeat from scratch, create a folder. Okay, open it, then type UNN, just for you to remember that it's for UNN. Okay, then drop it, drag and drop it to your VS Code. All right. Then the same process repeats itself again. You start creating what index.html or anything you want to call it. So once they are just done, you click twice when you open that particular file. So I can just pass index.html. Okay. Then open it here. Then the same thing happens. I can just pass my HTML. But let me just zoom this a little bit. Okay. Okay. Pass my HTML. Okay. Then I pass my head. Okay. So in this my head, I pass my title. Okay. In this title, I can just call it UNN site. Okay. Then I can now come outside here. I can now pass my body. So I can just pass a H1 tag and say, welcome to UNN. Then I can now save this. So once I save this now, what I'm going to do is just repeat the same process. Just go back to this place, then double click here. Okay, so you can see our UNN. So I can just do what? Double click on it so I can open up. So you can see welcome to UNN. Okay, so this is for UNN. Why? This is for NextCollege. So this is how we manage different websites. So as you are even learning, okay, and you want to create different folder just for you to manage what you are doing, good and fine. You can create different folder. Or you can even decide, oh, you want to actually create a different file and not folder. Because now when you have this, our UNN here, okay, you have our UNN here, but this UNN is under what? Index.html. Because this is the file we're actually rendering in our Chrome. This particular file, particularly this file, not the whole folder, this file particularly. Okay, so I can also say, okay, I want to copy this. I can just copy this, create another file. I can call it main.html. Okay, then I can now paste this here, and now change this thing from UNN to Unilag. Okay, then I can save this. Bear in mind, two of them are inside one folder. All right. The first one is for UNN, the other one is for Unilag. Okay, let me just pass Unilag site here. Unilag site. Okay, then I save. Then if I now go back to that our folder, all right. So you can now see that we have main and we have index automatically. Then I can now double click on my main. You can now see welcome to Unilag. So it just depends on what you are doing. If like you want to be very distinct, you don't want to make mistake when you are programming, okay? You just move it to folder level. So this folder is for UNN, while this folder is for NextCollege, while this folder is for Unilag. Okay, so you just make it that way. It's going to be easier for you to understand what you are doing. Do you understand this? Jason? All right. Okay, any other question concerning this, what I've been doing so far? Okay, no question. Okay, so let's just Are you guys tired already?
Not at all. We are good.
Okay, that's fine. Oh, now the next thing is, even though I said that this is a way you can be able to do what, to render what text, the major way you can use to render text, yeah, there's still another part or another aspect, okay, which we have not actually explored. That part is very, very important, and you must have seen it in different websites. You must have seen some websites listing things they have, and they'll number it number 1 this, number 2 this. Let's just assume that, oh, we want to create fruits, okay? So we now say this is going to be H, or it's going to be heading, say H3. And just say list of fruits. Okay, then I save this. Come back here, refresh this. So you can see list of what, fruits. Okay, and now come here and now pass p tag based on what you have learned so far, because human being is just based on what information that you learn that you can use to join what you are doing. Okay, so for the meantime, if I tell you to create a list, what you are going to do is just use H3, okay, or H1, anyone you want. The next thing, just make use of p tag. Can I tell me mango? Okay, the other one, p tag, can say banana. Okay, and then the next one, p tag, so you can say what, orange. Let me just take it simple this way, just 3 of them. Okay. Okay, so you can see what you just did. It just basically like a normal p tag. It's not showing that this is list of what, list of fruits, showing 1, 2, 3, or showing button. It's not showing that. So that means we are not doing something right the way it's meant to be. And that is where we learn about what, lists in HTML. So we're going to learn about the tags that's going to help us to do what, to make these things to be like what, list. It's going to be numbered or not numbered. So for those that are numbered, we call it what, ordered list, because it's going to show from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and if you like say, okay, you want this thing to look like list a little bit, you have to do it manually. So that means I have to come here and pass 1 dot space, okay, then 2 dot space, then 3 dot space. So now this is now looking like what, like a list. Okay, so it's now looking like a list a little bit, but me and you know that what we did here, we did not do it well. Okay, so this is a list, but you did not do it well. It's not going to be scalable. Does not make sense what we did. Okay, what you just did, you just put dot and give space, dot and give space. So this is not a list when you come to what, when you come to HTML. Now, even though this is trying to portray that this actually is ordered what, list, because you can see it's moving from 1, 2, and 3. So it's ordered. There's another one we call unordered list. So this unordered list, that means there is no order there. Okay, there's no priority, there's no order there, there's no ranking. They just make use of like a button. Okay, just like me using let me say asterisk. Okay, I can just use asterisk here, like this, something like this. Okay, like this. Like this. Must have seen some things like this before, okay, but it's just going to be more of button. So this is unordered list. So that means we are not taking any preference, nothing like 1, nothing like 3. So it's unordered. So you have ordered and unordered list when you come to what, HTML lists. Okay, so let's first tackle ordered lists. So in our ordered list, I'm just going to remove this. For ordered list, I'm just going to open a tag just from the name ordered. Okay, so that is OL. Okay, ordered list, OL. So I now pass my OL as a tag. So you have a tag called ordered what? List, which is what? OL. So I now what? I now close it. Good. So we are telling HTML that what we are creating here is basically what's going to be ordered. So help us and number it from A, B, C, D, or from 1, 2, 3, 4. But for the meantime, by default, it's going to be from 1, 2, 3, 4. When we learn about CSS, they can now see how we can make it be A, B, C, D, or another what, another number. But by default now, it's going to be what? From 1, 2, 3, 4 down below. Okay? Then once you pass this ordered list, so this ordered list is going to wrap the list what? List item. Okay? So the list item is what? This mango, banana, and orange. So instead of us making use of p tag like this, okay, and say mango and thereabout, no, it's not it. So what I'm going to make use of, there's a tag that is used inside what? Inside list, which you call what? List item. That is L what? Li. So I'm just going to pass Li. Okay, so that means I'm telling HTML that this part, which is list item, is under my what? On my ordered list. That I want to now start providing some item for it. So now this is mango. Okay, then the next one, which is our under Li, which is going to be what? Banana. All right, and then the next one, Li, which is now going to be what? Going to be orange. Okay, then I save this. Let me go over it again before I refresh the browser. So we want to create what? Ordered list. And this ordered list, this list as a whole has two types. We have ordered and unordered list. We are starting with what? With ordered list. This ordered list, for sure, this is an ordered list. We have a tag called what? OL. And that is what we did. We created what? OL. This OL is just going to have some children inside it. And those children inside it are going to be what we call what? List item. So those list item is denoted with what? Li. So list item 1 is mango. The next one is banana. This next one is what? Is orange. So if I now refresh this, automatically I can see how beautiful this one actually looks. Okay, and you can see everything is just aligned, showing that this actually is basically what? Is basically a list item. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any questions so far on this ordered list and list item? All right, okay. Now, apart from this list, ordered list, we can convert it to what? On ordered list. What you just need to do is very, very simple. Okay, you just have to come here, pass what? UL, which is what? On ordered what? List, just from name, on ordered what? List. So if I save this now and try to refresh this, so you're going to see what? You're going to see a disk here, okay, showing that actually this is not ordered. Okay, you don't want to show 1, 2, 3 or thereabout. So anyone is important for us. So anyone, we can go with it. So this is what? On ordered list. And that is how we can be able to do what? We can be able to create a list when you come to what? When you come to HTML. Okay. Any questions so far on our text, both the title, the H tag, P tag, and other formatter tag that we have discussed, and the UL? Any question at all concerning all this? All right, okay. Now, our class is meant to end by 9. Okay, and I just wanted to talk about all these text aspects. Installation of VS Code. So move from letting you guys know why you are here. Okay, you are here to learn what full stack development. Okay, and for you to learn it, it must be what? It must be consistent. If you're not consistent, make it a new year resolution for you. That this year, you must become a full stack developer. Very, very important. This year, you're going to follow this platform called NextCollege sequentially, slow, the way they are going to be teaching you. Every day, just come. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. It's not too much in a week. 2 hours. It's not too much, but once you learn for 1 month and you are practicing, you are going to see the effect. Then now check it in the remaining 11 months, what you are going to achieve. It's going to be mind-blowing. Okay? So I always encourage you guys. So once you have done learning, and always learn actively, don't learn passively. Don't be reluctant when it comes to learning. This is just 2 hours. If possible, just drop your phone, go to your table if you have a table for learning, go to the table, open your laptop, just follow the class. Just within 2 hours, you are done. Okay? You ask your question, 2 hours, you are done. When you're not practicing, it's going to be easier for you. Don't just depend on the recorded video. I know it's going to be out there, but don't just depend on it. Make sure that you are very active during the class. So when you are now watching those videos and you are practicing, things now becomes easier for you. It just be like, it's very, very easy for you because you paid attention during the first class. Okay, so I always encourage you guys to make sure you practice before the next class. So everything we discussed now, before the next class, I believe that if I ask questions about them, I'm not going to ask questions concerning things we just did now, because some of you guys, people differs. All right, some people may be able to replicate and answer, but I want you guys to go back, learn about all this, practice them repeatedly. Okay, then over the time it becomes easier for you. So in our next class, I can be able to ask question: how do I create ordered lists on ordered lists or some formatter? And you can be able to answer. And it's going to be very, very very, very interactive before we now move in to discussing some other aspects of our HTML. HTML is very easy. CSS is easy. JavaScript is the sweetest. So don't allow any person to scare you. That programming is very hard. It's not hard. I'm telling you the truth. You just have a nice mentor that can be able to guide you through this. And you're always open to questions. So if you have any question, you can always drop it in the WhatsApp group. You'll be answered. So maybe you're installing VS Code, anything that you are doing at all. Okay, I will guide you personally for you to make sure that you actually install them, you start practicing, and everything is actually flowing well, the way it's meant to be. Okay, so thank you guys for joining this class. Is there any question again before we call it a day? All right, okay. So that means there is no question. Okay, see you guys in our next, okay, good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
All right, good night, sir. Thank you for the class. Really appreciate it.
That's good.
Thanks.
Thanks.